The film kicks off with Marguerite, a 25-year-old genius PhD student who has dedicated her entire life to mathematics. Her thesis isn't just any topic. It's on the Goldbach conjecture, the one puzzle nobody in the world has ever been able to solve or prove. Marguerite's goal is crystal clear. She will be the one to prove it, proving to the whole world that she's a true genius. She has this unshakable faith that she'll crack the code.
But Marguerite, as we see, is extremely introverted, has zero friends, and her life is basically just science. On this big day, she has an interview at her university. Afterward, she goes to meet Dr. Laurent, her thesis advisor. Dr. Laurent has her help his other students with a highly complex problem, basically using her as the gold standard. He tells them to work as hard as she does because she's his most brilliant student. He then announces that Marguerite will be presenting her groundbreaking thesis at the next lecture and tells them all to download the research on Goldbach's conjecture to get prepared.
After the lecture, Laurent decides to introduce Marguerite to another student of his named Lucas, describing him as a genius just like her, who's working on his master's with him. He asks her to collaborate with him on her thesis, but Marguerite, with the arrogance of a genius, shuts him down. She just doesn't think he has enough experience with theories. At lunch, Marguerite eats alone, as usual. Lucas decides to join her and immediately asks her out. Of course, Marguerite refuses instantly. She doesn't have time for that, gets up, and leaves. She goes back to her dorm and studies all night, like she always does. But while studying, she hits a small snag in her thesis. Something just feels wrong. She runs to Laurent, begging him to read the thesis again because she feels something is off. Laurent brushes her off, saying that he's read it multiple times, it's fine, and he doesn't have time to read it again. He tells her to just ask Lucas for help. Marguerite goes looking for Lucas, but finds him busy planning music with his friends. Then the big day arrives, her thesis defense. We see Marguerite confidently presenting her work in front of a huge crowd of students and doctors. Everything is going perfectly, until suddenly, Lucas stops her. He points out, in front of everyone, a flaw in her thesis that she completely missed. And the devastating part, this one flaw invalidates her entire theory. It means she has to start her research all over again, from scratch. Naturally, Marguerite is hit with the shock of her life. 3 years of work, gone because of one tiny flaw. She feels utterly crushed that she couldn't prove it, leaves the defense, and just walks away. Days pass, and Marguerite spirals into a deep depression, completely losing all hope in her PhD. One day, Dr. Laurent visits her. He tells her she was wrong to leave and that she'd made huge progress. Marguerite explodes, blaming him. She tells him if he had just read her thesis like she asked, none of this would have happened. Laurent coldly tells her it's probably best if she just changes her topic to something easier. And then the next blow. He informs her he can no longer be her supervisor and she needs to find someone else. He suggests a Dr. Blanchard, saying he has already spoken to him and Blanchard is willing to start over with her. Marguerite feels even more hopeless. She desperately wanted to prove that specific theory, and she has zero energy to start all over again. So she makes a shocking decision. She tells Laurent she's quitting mathematics entirely and forgetting the whole thesis. Laurent tries to warn her that this is a huge mistake, that the university will force her to repay all the money they spent on her for the last 3 years, not to mention her wasted effort. But Marguerite doesn't care. She tells him she's ready to face the consequences and walks out. Sometime later, we see Marguerite trying to start a completely new life. She enrolls in a beauty course just to try and forget her old field. During the course, the teacher asks them to take a poll on some beauty products. But Marguerite and another girl named Noah object to the idea. The teacher gets annoyed by their attitude and kicks them both out of the class. And just like that, this shared misfortune makes them friends. We learned that Noah works as a dancer in a nightclub and is extremely open and free-spirited, the total opposite of Marguerite. Noah offers to let Marguerite move in with her, especially since Marguerite needs a new place and Noah's rent is cheaper if they split it. To seal the deal, Marguerite tells her she'll pay 3 months' rent up front. Noah agrees and takes her to see the apartment. At first, Marguerite hates it. It's an absolute mess, and she's used to living in obsessively clean and organized spaces.
but she's desperate, so she agrees to live there. That night, they go to meet the landlord to pay the rent, and Marguerite notices he's playing Chinese gambling, mahjong, with his friends. The game intrigues her. She downloads it on her phone and starts playing it for a long time. After a while, Marguerite applies for a job at a clothing store and gets hired. She quickly develops a crush on a guy who works there, but she has no idea how to tell him how she feels. She has zero experience with relationships and has literally never been on a date. When she gets home, she tells Noah about the guy and asks for advice on how to approach him. Noah gives her a crash course on how to get a guy's attention. The next day, Marguerite tries to apply all of Noah's tips, but she still fails to even talk to him.
After work, she gets a surprise call. It's Lucas. He tells her he read her thesis, was blown away by it, and begs her to come back. He says he'll help her solve the flaw, that it's a crime to let all her hard work go to waste. But Marguerite refuses. She tells him she's done with the PhD and hangs up annoyed. When she gets home, she finds Noah getting ready for her shift at the nightclub. Marguerite decides to go with her, just for a change of scenery. The second she walks into the club, she's mesmerized by the world inside. It's the first time she's ever been in a place like this. She has no idea how to act, so she just stands alone on the side, watching people dance and have fun. That's when she spots a guy standing alone and just focuses on him all night. When she sees him leaving, she follows him out. The guy understandably gets freaked out and asks her what she wants and why she's been following him. Marguerite just flat out tells him she thinks he's cute, wants to get to know her, but has no experience in this stuff and didn't know how to talk to him. The guy takes her back to his place to get to know her better. The next day, Marguerite shows up to work glowing. It was the first time in her life she'd ever spent the night with a guy. But her happiness is short-lived. Her mom calls and immediately starts yelling at her. She found out from Dr. Laurent that Marguerite quit the university and her thesis. Marguerite, furious, calls Laurent and screams at him for snitching to her mom, telling him to stay out of her life. When she gets back home, another disaster is waiting. The landlord stops her on the stairs and yells at her for being late on the rent. Marguerite is totally confused. She gave the rent money to Noah to pay. She confronts Noah, asking where the money went. Noah confesses. She applied for a huge dance competition and had to use the rent money for the entry fee because she didn't have enough cash. Marguerite tries to figure out how to get money, fast. Then she gets a brilliant idea. She goes to the landlord and makes him a proposition. She'll play Chinese gambling with his friends. If she wins, she gives him all the money. If she loses, she'll pack her bags and leave.
The landlord agrees. Marguerite sits down to play. And the shocker, she wins every single round. She hands all her winnings to the landlord. The men are all stunned by her performance. She's a total pro. The landlord immediately offers her a job, play gambling in high-stakes clubs, and he'll give her a cut of the winnings. But right then, Marguerite suddenly runs back home because the gambling just gave her a brand new idea for her theory. She stays up all night working on the proof. Days go by, and Marguerite is now playing high-stakes gambling daily in big clubs, making tons of money. All the while, she's still working on her theory. One day, her mom comes to visit and finds out that she's gambling for a living. Her mom freaks out, telling her this work is illegal and could get her into serious trouble. But Marguerite reassures her that she's happy and there's nothing to worry about. She even tells her that gambling is actually helping her prove her theory. That night, Noah tells Marguerite she's leaving for 2 weeks for her dance competition. Marguerite encourages her, telling her she has total faith in her and knows she'll win. Later, Marguerite is taking a shower when she hears a shocking announcement on the radio. Dr. Laurent is going to use Lucas's master's thesis to prove the Goldbach conjecture. The next day, Marguerite runs to the university to find Lucas. She apologizes for her cold attitude before and asks him to come to her apartment, saying she needs to show him something important. When Lucas gets there, he's stunned. The apartment is covered wall to wall in papers and equations. She's been working on the proof this whole time and has made massive progress. Marguerite offers him a deal. Help her prove the theory, but on one condition. He cannot tell Laurent he's helping her. She finally realized Laurent was just exploiting her, trying to get her to solve the theory so he could register it in his own name, especially since he failed to prove it himself years ago. Lucas agrees to her terms, and they decide to work together.
Days pass, and they're both grinding away at the theory, but they can't seem to make a breakthrough. The atmosphere between them is still tense and awkward. Lucas is clearly uncomfortable with the situation. One day he confronts her. He says he's not comfortable with the boundaries she's put up between them, that they need to be more open with each other since they'll be working together for a long time, and this tension isn't helping him focus. Marguerite realizes he's right, so she takes him out to dinner. There, she opens up. She tells him she's been obsessed with math since she was a kid, and what got her hooked was that her mom is a math teacher. When she was just 9, she started grading exams with her. When her dad left her mom, she buried herself in mathematics just so she wouldn't have to think about him. Then one day she heard about the Goldbach conjecture and learned that the man who created it couldn't even prove it because it's one of the hardest math problems in the world. That's when she decided she would be the first person in history to prove it.
Lucas tells his story too, how no one in his family is good at math, and he's the only one who loved it, and how it took over his life. When he finds out she gambles, he just laughs, saying how bizarre it is because it doesn't fit her personality at all. But Marguerite tells him it's her only source of income now, and besides, the gambling has given her a lot of inspiration for the theory. After dinner, they both head back to the apartment and get back to work on the theory. As the days pass, we see their relationship deepen, and they eventually get together. One day, Laurent is in the library and spots the two of them together. He immediately figures out they're still working on the proof, so Laurent pays Marguerite a visit at her apartment. He tells her he's always dreamed of proving Goldbach, and that sometimes mathematicians can be selfish, especially if someone surpasses them. He says he genuinely wanted her to be the one to prove it. He then offers to take her back as his student to finish her thesis. Marguerite reads right through him. She knows he just wants to exploit her again so he can take credit for her work. She refuses to work with him. This encounter only motivates her more and gives her the drive to keep going. Then, one day, Marguerite makes a breakthrough, finding new hypotheses. She reacts with pure joy, believing she's finally solved the theory. She throws her arms around Lucas, and they're both ecstatic about the achievement. But that night, Marguerite can't sleep. She keeps thinking, feeling like something is still wrong. She gets up to check her results and discovers she still hasn't solved the theory. She completely freaks out, panicking because her defense is just 2 weeks away. Lucas wakes up to her distress and tries to calm her down, telling her she can just defend her thesis next year if she can't solve it this year. But Marguerite insists she must defend it this year to prove to Laurent that she's smarter than him and to get revenge for how he abandoned and exploited her. Suddenly, their discussion explodes into a massive fight over their different perspectives. Marguerite even accuses him of just using her, and she decides to break up with him. Lucas is devastated. He had put his own studies and his own thesis on hold just to help her, and she didn't appreciate it at all. So he leaves. That night, Marguerite goes to gamble as usual, but this time she's completely unfocused and she loses for the first time. She's furious and she channels all that rage back into her work. She studies for days on end without any rest, to the point where she started writing equations on every available surface in the apartment. One day, Noah gets home and finds Marguerite in a terrible state. She suggests that Marguerite go live with her mom for a while, just until her nerves calm down. Marguerite actually agrees and goes to her mom's house, but she doesn't stop studying. One day, Marguerite confesses to her mom that she fell in love with her colleague from the university. Her mom is thrilled that she's finally in a relationship and advises her never to let him go. Then, one day, Marguerite is sitting and thinking about the theory as usual, until she sees something specific. And that something? It's the key. She finally has the solution to the theory. She is overwhelmed with joy. She calls Lucas immediately, telling him she needs to see him right now. She meets him at the university and tells him, "I finally solved it."
Lucas takes her to a lecture hall so she can write the proof out on the blackboard. Marguerite begins to write. As she works, everyone in the university starts to gather around her, completely stunned, unable to believe that she's finally solving the Goldbach conjecture. The moment she finishes the proof, the entire room erupts in applause. Everyone is so proud of her. Even Laurent is in the crowd, beaming with pride at what she's accomplished. He keeps telling everyone around him, "That girl, she's my student." Lucas is also incredibly happy for her, but he feels that now that she's solved the theory, she doesn't need him anymore. He decides to slip out quietly, leaving the hall. But Marguerite runs after him. She grabs him and hugs him, and finally confesses that she loves him and can't live without him. He confesses his love for her too. And that's where the film ends.